Ever wonder what separates a good manager from a truly great leader? Today, we're not just talking theory. We are going to unlock a practical toolkit of strategies designed to help you become the leader you were meant to be, one who can drive real results in pretty much any situation. All right, here's what we've got on the docket. We'll start by busting a common myth about leadership. Then, we'll walk through how our thinking on this has evolved. After that, the main event. We'll build out your leadership toolkit, see it in action, and then get really clear on the difference between a manager and a leader, all to help you become way more agile and effective.
So let's kick things off with a foundational question, one that people have been debating for, well, centuries.
For a long time, the answer seemed pretty simple. Great leaders were born, not made. This whole idea was called the great man theory, and it basically said that leadership was some kind of innate, almost magical quality that you either had or you didn't.
But, as we got smarter about psychology and how organizations actually work, our thinking changed. The old view that history is basically just the story of a few great guys, that's out. The modern view is so much more empowering. Anyone, and I mean anyone, can become a leader with the right practice, study, and mindset. This isn't just some feel-good idea, it's the bedrock of all modern leadership development.
So how in the world did we make that massive jump from born to made? Well, it's a really fascinating story of how our understanding has gotten deeper and deeper over time. Let's trace that evolution, shall we?
The journey really started with something called trait theory, where people tried to make a literal checklist of qualities, like charisma or intelligence, that all great leaders supposedly had. But that turned out to be way too simplistic. So the focus shifted to behavioral theory, which looked at what leaders actually do. And that finally led us to the real game changer, situational theory, which recognizes that the best leaders, they're masters of adaptation. They fit their style to the situation.
And this right here, this is the key takeaway. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to leadership. It just doesn't exist. The most effective leaders aren't the ones with one perfect style, but the ones with a diverse toolkit who can look at a situation and pull out the right tool for the job. Adaptability is the ultimate skill.
Okay, so now that we've established why being adaptable is so crucial, it is time to actually build your leadership toolkit. The source material we're looking at has over a dozen different styles, and that can get overwhelming fast. So like any good consultant would, we need a simple, powerful framework to organize them.
To make sense of it all, we can group every single leadership style into one of three core functions. Think of these as the three essential pillars of great leadership. You have your visionary leaders, who set the why and the where. Then you have your people-first leaders, who focus on the who. And finally, you've got your execution-focused leaders, who absolutely master the how and the when.
All right, it's time to open up this leadership toolkit and take a much closer look at the specific strategies inside each of those categories. We're going to explore what each one is, exactly when you should use it, and maybe most importantly, what you need to watch out for.
First up, the visionaries. These are the leaders who can see a future that doesn't exist yet and paint a picture so compelling that their teams are inspired to build it. They are the ones who rally people, especially when things feel a little bit stuck or uncertain. Now, check this out, because this is where the nuances really matter. It's not just one style. Look at that when to use column. You'd pull out the classic visionary style when your team feels lost and needs a new North Star. But what about a team that's actively resisting change? That's when you deploy a transformational style to really challenge the status quo. And when you just have a clear, high-level plan that needs to be executed, the strategic leader provides that confidence.
Okay, next, let's turn our attention to the people-first leaders. These are the leaders who deeply understand a fundamental truth. A company is nothing without its people. They are the architects of culture. They build trust, create safety, and foster an environment where everyone can do their best work.
Let's break this down. The coaching style, it's perfect for a team of talented people who are just hungry to grow. But what if you've got conflict, maybe two senior people butting heads? That's a perfect time for a servant leader to step in and put the team's needs first. And for a brand new team, or one that's a bit fractured, the collaborative style is absolutely essential for building those bonds. But look at those pitfalls. Each style has a trade-off, right?
Last, but definitely not least, we have the execution-focused leaders. Because let's be honest, a great vision and a happy team are wonderful. But if you can't deliver, they don't mean much. These are the leaders who get things done, period. They turn plans into reality. And as you can see, execution isn't just one thing. The transactional leader is your go-to when you have to hit clear targets on a tight deadline. It's all about the results. But in a fast-moving, chaotic startup, an agile leader who can make quick, confident calls is invaluable. And when you're facing total ambiguity, like a massive market shift, the adaptive leader thrives, helping the team navigate constant change without a map.
So now that we've unpacked this entire toolkit, it's time to talk about a classic and absolutely critical distinction. Mastering these styles is really what separates a manager from a true leader. As the legendary CEO Jack Welch used to say, there's a world of difference between the two.
Jack Welch basically believed that traditional management, as it was often practiced, was a bottleneck. He saw it as a system of control that just stifled creativity, discouraged real innovation, and bogged people down in nonsense. For him, leadership was the answer.
I mean, just look at this. The difference is night and day. Managers administer systems. Leaders innovate and inspire. Managers are focused on the how and the when, the logistics. Leaders are obsessed with the what and the why, the purpose behind it all. One maintains, the other creates. This is the fundamental mindset shift you have to make.
So, what's the end game here? It's not to pick one of these styles and just stick with it forever. It's to become an agile leader, someone who can just fluidly shift their style to fit any situation and guide their team to a win no matter what the challenge is.
An agile leader isn't just another style on the list. No, it's the mastery of the entire toolkit. It's the ability to seamlessly switch from being a visionary leader in a big meeting on Monday morning to being a coaching leader in a one-on-one that afternoon, all depending on what your team and the situation needs.
Look, becoming an agile leader is a journey for sure, but it starts with practice. You can use these 3 simple steps to start building that muscle today. First, just pause and consciously assess the situation. Second, think about your team. What do they need right now? And third, deliberately choose the leadership style from your toolkit that's going to get the best result.
At the end of the day, leadership isn't some title on an org chart. It's a series of conscious choices you make every single day. You now have the framework, you have the tools, so as you head back into your week, the only question left is, what kind of leader will you choose to be?